Well, hello there. How are you? It's been a while. Here we are again. It's the morning time, and we're spinning some Tinkle tunes. That's right. Bringing it back at you with all that smooth, soft, subtle sounds that you love so dearly. We're drinking it hot and black this morning, getting things started right. Uh, Wanted to bring out a small series of LPs that I have, highlighting, of course, minimalist, environmental music, a two-part series, technically three-part series, but the third part is exceptionally difficult to dig up. I don't think it was ever released on vinyl, and I've listened to a little bit of it, and it's not particularly that impressive. So I don't own it, so I'm just going to talk about the first two parts. But like I said, of this series called the Wave Notation series, specifically geared toward highlighting artists who feature environmental type, not sounds of the environment, like whale sounds and shit like that, but music created and intended to be experienced in an environment and as part of a surrounding environment. And we all know no one does that better than the Japanese culture. I've talked about it before and how they kind of created the genre of ambient and environmental music, stuff that they were doing, well, really for centuries upon centuries in their culture, but more elaborately in the later part of the 19th century and then into the 20th century. And with the advent of, the Meiji period in Japan and things becoming westernized and whatnot, the Western world really got to kind of like, be introduced and see what this type of thing is all about, and how the Japanese would build these beautiful gardens and around their homes and everything, and giant koi ponds and all this great stuff, and they would arrange all types of brass plates and gongs and wind chimes and all sorts of things all over their environment in their homes and everywhere, where raindrops would bounce off things and create sounds, and the Sithrism would affect these the wind chimes and all these things that they had in their gardens and stuff, and just create beautiful environmental soundscapes. And that's what this is all about, is kind of recapturing that not ancient method by any means, but an old practice in their culture that's obviously spanned millennia. So this is, like I said, a series done. I don't remember who originally put out these records, who the publisher, the record company, but the Wave Notation series, first part in that series by an artist that I love dearly. I've mentioned before, this album showed up on a list I've done before of my greatest of all time albums. So for me personally, this one is just, it's up in the rankings, by a man named Hiroshi Yoshimura, and his album Music for 9 Postcards. How enjoyable and, like I've said millions of times, just sweet and subtle, delicious album. Very minimalistic. It's just him with just, I think, a real small synth for some drone effect, and then a Fender Rhodes electric piano. And he does everything with just those two simple instruments, and achieves so much. It's such a distinct pleasure to experience. I think he was commissioned to do this music. I'm not positive about that. I don't know if it was commissioned, but I know that the piece was immediately grabbed up and he was paid rights for it to be used in a installation type setting in a very big and elaborate museum. They were doing some sort of exposition or some sort of thing for a real big museum in Japan, and he of course was asked to do this music for that. So that's what this music is kind of incorporated into, and just it's so beautiful and wonderful, and just it does just envelop you and just becomes part of the world around you, and vice versa. It's really endearing, beautiful piece of music. Released in 1982 originally. This is a fantastic repress. They've been doing lots of reissues of this, I think. A reissue sometime in like 2010, and then again probably in like 2015, 2016, and then I think again in 2020. I think this is a 2020 repress. Yeah, all these really neat illustrations and all kinds of, you know, cool things reminiscent of, you know, what Brian Eno was doing on his albums for the ambient series. And yeah, I left the strip on. I like the look of the obi strip. It's neat. I guess it's not technically an obi strip. I don't think this was pressed in the obi plant in Japan. But yeah, I love this shit just absolutely through and through. It's in my opinion one of the greatest albums of all time. It's on my GOAT list, so everybody check this out. If you've never listened to it, you'll be pleasantly surprised. For all you knuckleheads that really just love the Tinkle tunes. It's perfect album. And of course, the second in the Wave Notation series, part 2, performed by another Japanese man, of course, named Satoshi Ashikawa, and his album called Still Way, released a year later in 1983. Another case, I believe, of this was intended for use in an art installation, some sort of, like I said, some sort of exposition, not in a museum, but just, you know, this stuff was really grabbed up. 80s in Japan was just really the art scene, and all of these great, like, you know, architectural designs and industrial designs and all the stuff that they were doing in modern day, you know, technocratic Japan. Like, shit was really booming, and music always had its place in, you know, in that scene, and then just the arts were kind of just injected into everything. And so excuse me, a little under the weather this morning. Yeah, again, this album, Still Way by Satoshi Ashikawa, second part in that Wave Notation series, is equally as magnificent as its predecessor. A lot more incredible instrumentations on this album. It's not so minimalistic. It still has that air of the kind of like minimalism, you know, feel, but there's, you know, lots of extra players on this album, lots of extra instrumentations. He himself, Ashikawa, is responsible for most of what's going on there's acoustic, like grand piano sound, and also harp, like concert, you know, harp in this, and he is responsible for that. But there's lots of other players that he invites to come do some things. There's some percussion on here that's magnificent by the very famous, I think her name is Midori. What is it? Oh yeah, Midori Takada. She's responsible for that very famous ambient classic, Through the Looking Glass. Everyone knows that album. It's a magnificent album. So she's a famous percussionist and ambient artist. And there's lots of other players on this album, but yeah, like I said, it just goes and plays through just like another one of those, beautiful art pieces that you would expect to be hearing, just as part of the environment whilst walking through an art installation, or a museum or anything of that type. It's really fantastic. Lots of beautiful, subtle sounds on this album. I can't recommend it enough to everybody. It's affordable. This is a recent reissue. I think it was reissued in 2020 again, or maybe 2021. A 2019 reissue. But yeah, it's made available almost everywhere these days. You just kind of gotta know what you're looking for. Sometimes a lot of people just kind of breeze over this and don't really give it a second look. But all these 80s Japanese artists really deserve, a lot of attention. They're really magnificent. And so yeah, I wanted to highlight this one as well. This is part 2 in the Wave Notation series. There is a part 3, like I said, in that Wave Notation series. I believe it's another Japanese man who's playing primarily piano, and he highlights. It's actually kind of like a themed dedication album to a prominent composer. I'm not absolutely positive how to pronounce this person's name, but it's Eric Satie, I believe. I'm not sure who the person was and where they hailed from in the world, but very famous composer, I guess, from 19th century. And the album basically is just one long solid work by that composer, Eric Satie. Like I said, I listened to a little bit of it and just really wasn't, I don't know, it didn't really take me anywhere, didn't really do much for me. So I don't have that one in my collection. But yeah, there's some more wonderful ambient albums for you guys to rush out and buy. Check them out. They're really, really fantastic. It's really great to put that stuff on. Like I said, just kind of be part of the environment, kind of soaked into the musical world around you. And yeah, those Japanese, they really know what they're doing. It's really fantastic stuff. So thanks for joining me this morning, short and sweet, here on the Square the Circle music channel, talking about Tinkle Tunes again. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, whatever. And don't forget to stop by and visit me on Instagram, Square the Circle Records on Instagram. Give me a like, subscribe to my page or whatever they do on Instagram. I don't know. But check out some of my other videos in the Tinkle Tunes series, as well as many other videos. Check it all out. Love you guys. Peace be with you.